Hello everyone, welcome back to my humble channel. If my channel was a building, it would be a tiny little shed so far. But I'll tell you what, I've gained more subscribers in the last week than I have ever since I've had my channel, which wasn't really originally for this purpose, but I was trying to get views on those videos, which I did. You can see them on this channel if you like. They're just drone videos of you know, the mountains and the beach and everything. So okay, now where do I start today? I'm going to talk about the conjunction that I showed you last video. Pretty fantastic. I said I was going to show you some video of, I not only saw the conjunction, which was quite beautiful, I saw a bright light come out of the west where I was looking. And I did manage to film it on both my phone and my Zoom camera. When I got home, I was looking through it all and I found the footage. And then when I went to transfer all my files, etc., to put the video together, mysteriously, I could not find the files for that anywhere. Another strange thing happened when I got home. I was walking through my door, and my phone started playing a song in my pocket, which I had on my phone. This is when I got home from filming the Bethlehem Star. It was "I'll Be Back Again." And the lyrics are like, they say, "If you break my heart, I'll go, but I'll be back again." That's like the first line, but it sort of made me go, wow, I'll be back again. So I want to talk about, there were so many interesting things. I wrote so many things down. I'm just trying to find out where I should start. Okay, let's start with, look, I'm not trying to teach any of you the Bible. That's up to each individual to learn for yourself the Bible. This is what I'm coming to. Well, you've heard of the pre-tribulation rapture, and I've always been a listener. I've listened, and now I'm making videos, and I'm bringing up the things that stuck with me. And pre-tribulation rapture, I was on board with. A lot of people you might be watching now saying, "Oh, he's a pre-tribulation rapture guy," and all this. Hear me out, because I'm not completely. You know, what I've come to understand through other channels as well, some great guys. I mean, these guys put in hours and hours and hours, and they pour over the scriptures. They really do. They're like how the three wise men understood the Bethlehem Star. And the conclusions they're coming to, and I agree with them. I do. I agree. There's nobody else out there who's doing this much study. I mean, some people, they go through Bible college or something, and they become a pastor, and then you listen to them because they're like, oh, they've got a doctorate and PhD pastor, and they must know what they're talking about, so I'm going to stick to this person. I'm going to listen. I was the same. I listened to a man named Gene Kim. He's South Korean, I believe, but he's an American, but he's originally South Korean. But great, he has a great grasp of the Bible. He really does, and he only goes by the King James version. And I was watching him, and he taught me so much about, say, that like the shape of the universe and all this kind of stuff. It was just absolutely mind-boggling stuff, but it made sense with the scriptures. He's a pre-tribulation rapture teacher, and he teaches the pre-tribulation rapture, and then there's 7 years of great tribulation, and then there's a millennial reign. My red flag started going up with him when he started saying that there was no interest in the stars, in what was going on in the stars, especially in 2017. I don't know how he came to that conclusion. He just said, oh, it's a strong connection, put it on the shelf. As if, don't look into it any further, just put it on the shelf. But he was, he was sticking to the word, and he's going, I'm going by the word, and he would rightly divide, and he's a dispensationalist, which I'm on board with that too. Different groups talking, Jesus talking to different groups, and God talking to different groups throughout the Bible. And I was on board with that completely. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, there was a few things that sort of made me question, though. I'm not going to go into those now, but the new understanding that I'm on board with, and these guys aren't pastors or anything, they just study. And it's like, when you understand a puzzle now, and you're excited, these guys are so excited when they talk. They're so excited. They're so enthusiastic, and they're trying to. It's like they're reaching out of the screen, and they're grabbing you, and they're shaking you, and they're going, "Don't you realize what this means?" Anyway, so this is what you don't have to agree with me. I just think it's interesting, and I find it funny that people like to get all upset on when I say something, because I've always said I'm not a teacher. But this is the understanding that with the connections. So I've gone through it before. It's like an escape. Then this is before the Great Tribulation starts. There's an escape of the bride, the body of Christ. And then there's Jesus comes to earth for 40 days. And he appears to people, just like he did after the crucifixion. And they were all sad because they thought Jesus wasn't all true, and he didn't come back, and he's walking behind them on the road, and he's saying, "Oh, what's wrong, guys? What's wrong?" And they all say, "Oh, didn't you hear? Where have you been?" sort of thing. And it was Jesus, and they didn't recognize him. So yeah, there's the escape. Then there's Jesus walking on the earth, and then there's 7 years of seals. Which at the end of that first 7 of seals, there's a rest period, like a time for Israel to build the temple, because it's got to be built like in the physical as well, on earth. And then you've got the caught up. In seals, there'll be lots of people come to Christ. So something sort of clicked this morning. I went, wow. When you watch all the Rapture movies and stuff, like there's one called Left Behind, I believe, with Nicolas Cage. That one there, it's talking about a rapture. But you notice in that one, people vanish. So if you think about the description of the rapture, it's caught up. So you've got a vanishing and a caught up, and there's like two differences, if you're sort of catching my drift. And you'll see it in movies sometimes. Like there was a movie called the Avengers Infinity War. There was two parts to it, and there was a guy named Thanos, and he wore this glove, and it was called the Infinity Glove, or something like that. I'm not too into it, but the thing that stood out with me in the movie was he would always be saying he was inevitable. There's just zero stopping him. There's nothing you can do about him. And he clicks his fingers, he snaps his fingers, and then a huge part of the world, or half or something, I think they say half in the movie, disappear. And no one can explain it. And then you've got, in Star Trek, it's like they kind of, when he says beam me up, Scotty, they kind of dematerialize and then appear somewhere else. You see in alien movies, this is when there was this movie called The End. I still watch comedy movies. I don't always get into them, but there was one called The End, and it had that Seth Rogen and all that in it, and they were all partying and all that. And then things started going to hell outside their party, and they didn't realise because they were all partying. But there was a bit in that where they start to learn about the rapture. This is a big Hollywood movie. You should see it. and they learn about the rapture, and then they go, oh, and they think, oh, we've just got to call out, to be saved, sort of, and they all start getting sucked up into the sky. And I find it funny in Alien, like they teach you that with Alien movies and stuff, how you get sucked up into the ship. And that could be like planting seeds in your mind that's what a rapture looks like. It's aliens, you see. But listen, saying that, I think people who are looking now, who might not be fully on board with what I'm saying, and they're pre-tribulation, I'd say they'd still be going in the escape. And they thought something, because they don't want to be here for seals, and they don't want to be here for trumpets. They don't want to be here for any of that. Which, who would? And there's people who, don't agree with me. Fair enough. They're preparing themselves to go through, seals, and they're probably screaming at me right now saying, oh, but it's this. Anyway. So I might not stick on that subject if you like. It seems to be a little divisive, but I'm just showing you some things again. We had an interesting connection with the full moon and the phases of the moon, and also eclipses, solar eclipses, is when, I think I heard it somewhere before, when the moon's going dark, it's called waning. You've got waxing and waning. Waxing is when it's becoming full again. It's growing. Waning is when it's disappearing. It looks like if Jesus was in the tomb, you have the big round stone rolling across the door to cover it, and then on the other, when it goes out on the other side, it's like the door's opening again, just like in an eclipse. I went, wow, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Another thing with pastors is that they can. There's a couple of pastors, they teach pre-tribulation rapture, and they say the once saved, always saved. And I don't know if I'm easy with. I mean, maybe you are, but there was something that made me think when they said. That you don't have to worry about it. You're saved no matter what. You're sealed and you're saved, and that's it. And I'm thinking maybe it'll put people back to sleep in a sense, because then they stop looking like, and they don't talk about this. They don't talk about what's going on now. The stars. That's what I'm getting at. They're not interested in it. Like you got J.D. Farag, and you've got Gene Kim. You know who does talk about the stars? There's a great guy out there, listen to him, Robert Breaker. He still believes in the 7 years and then the millennial reign. So, and he does seem a little bit stiff, a bit rigid sometimes, I've got my ways and that's it. I don't want to learn anything new. Now, I want to talk about, is there any Alex Jones listeners out there? Now, I used to be a big Alex Jones listener, InfoWars, all that. And, the guy, he claims, oh, I'm a Christian, of course I am, and he talks about Christ all the time, and, gives all the big speeches about it. But then I notice what he does is that he's not talking about a rapture. He's not talking about an escape. He's basically saying we've got to turn this whole situation around and get the right president in, and we can go to the stars and all this kind of stuff. And it's also the constant state of fear that the listeners might, if they're fully on board with Alex, they'd be in a constant state of fear, because the guy, he does sell survival gear and, you know, water purifying and all this kind of stuff. I also heard him once say he had some pastor with him or something on his show, and he said, tell the people once and for all. And the guy did Matthew, and he said, no man knoweth the day or the hour. And he just looked back, and then Alex chimed in again and said, look, see, it's as simple as that. And then he moved on to the next thing, and that was it. That's all he ever wanted to talk about it. And I thought, wow, he just quickly dismissed it there, and I guess he's going to sell some more bone broth and survival gear and stuff. I mean, he might have got Trump elected. I'm not going to talk about that though, because some people get upset about politics. So yeah, with Jonesy, I was thinking it's 99% truth. I mean, it can be, or does he say something and then it happens, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you're right, Alex." They have these people in the occult that, or you know, in the elite, and they announce things. They get you all thinking about it and upset about it, and then it happens, and it's kind of like a spell. It's like I told you, you know, the power of suggestion. Here it is. I told you I was right. You know, like that kind of thing. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the people who vanished as opposed to are caught up in the clouds. Jesus did both. We got Enoch vanished, and Jesus vanishing, and then you've got the people who went up into the cloud, up in a cloud. So just more on the vanishing versus the caught up again. Interesting. It's just to think about, guys. It's not. I'm not here to teach you and preach to you. I'm just here. Just thought you might find it interesting. That's all. Yeah, the white picket fence dream that they teach in America, especially for newcomers, the white picket dream fence. So what that is you want that house of the white picket. It's a classic dream, isn't it? And it's something you'll work all your life to keep and to get. And I thought, no, what a waste of energy. You should be dreaming of heaven. So none of this down here should really matter, should it? I'll tell you about a dream I had. I had a dream when I was learning about the Jews. I had a very real dream, and I was at a wedding, and all these Jewish people were there, but we were all so happy. We were celebrating. We were all arm in arm, and we were going around with those big dancing circles, you know, and we were just looking at each other like just in ecstasy. Like there was no more to worry about. There was nothing else to ever worry about. And we were laughing and nearly laughing till we cried, and we're going around this big dancing circle, and I felt like it was just, I was at a big Jewish wedding. And it really felt like so special when I woke up. I was like, that was like a Jewish wedding, and Jewish wedding, wow. The wedding. Yeah, also Luke 24. I've got it here. I want to read this to you and just see what you find interesting in what I say here. So here we go. The part where it says, Luke 24. Oh, where is it? And they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre, and they entered in and found not the body of Lord Jesus. It's interesting, isn't it? Why are we always called the body of Christ? They found not the body. The teaching I heard on that this morning was just gobsmacking. Like, it was like, wow. The way he was comparing it also to Luke 12. And the connections are off the charts about an escape. They're off the charts. And then, you know, Jesus appears again to those who just lost all hope and faith. He's asking them what's wrong, and yeah, I think I've covered everything. I'll talk about one little music topic, because I always have a little music topic. I always have a little dream topic. I used to listen to The Doors. You know the band, The Doors? They're from the 60s and the 70s. Or the early 70s. Mainly the 60s. But anyway, Jim Morrison. Interesting character. Always adding Jesus Christ into his music. He made a prophecy about the future. And tell me if you can guess what this sounds like. He made a prophecy. I'm not into his prophecies. I'm not saying he's a prophet and all this kind of stuff. I don't want you to think that. But I just found it interesting when he made a prophecy. He said, in the future, there will be this gigantic serpent, a monster of energy. And I can see on every one of its scales is a person's face and their life and everything about them and everyone they know. What does that sound like? Facebook. And then you've got the other one he said about, in the future there'll be one man standing on a stage surrounded by machines that he just presses the buttons, and that'll be the music. Have a think about that. All right, thanks guys. I've been a bit too long now, but I'll let you go. So thanks for stopping by again. And listen guys, don't get offended by what I'm saying. I'm not trying to teach a different way. I'm just pointing out the things I'm coming across and make sense to me. Okay? It may not make sense to you. You might have learnt a different way. That's fine. We can still be friends. I still love you. I'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.